When Charlie and I did our research of those many happy couples, one of the themes that sprang forth spontaneously, without our asking, was the sexual aspect of their relationship was very important to all of them. Now, I want you to realize that the average amount of years that these couples that we interviewed had been together, because we searched out the veterans, was 31 years. So some of these couples were in their 70s and 80s, and they still were enjoying their sexual connection with each other, which was good news for me to hear as I'm getting on in my years. And when we talk to the younger couples, the couples in their 20s and 30s and 40s, they report the same, that their sexual connection with each other is worth working out the differences so that they can delight in the pleasures of the body. So to give time and attention to the discussion about what it is that we enjoy and what turns us off, and to carve out of stone sometimes, out of our busy schedules, time to make love with each other, is one of the things that sets the okay relationships apart from the great ones. There is a lot to be said for showing love to our partner by enlivening the spark of sexuality with each other. So you hear a lot about how couples struggle about one person is the high drive person and the other one doesn't want to have sex as often. And they have to work out their difference. The high testosterone person's got a lot of lessons in patience, and the low testosterone person's got lessons in generosity, so they can find somewhere where they can be together that isn't problematical for them. But one of the things that you don't hear about as much is the kinds of sex that people like, which can also be irritating. And there are basically 5 kinds of sex. And sometimes people, one of the pair, will have a strong preference for one kind, which will be quite different than the other partner has a preference for a different kind. So to just discern what the 5 kinds are, first is junk food. Now, that's also known as the quickies. And I don't mean to be using junk food as pejorative. I happen to really like candy bars, potato chips, and Cracker Jacks. I just wouldn't want to have a steady diet of them. But quickies, they have their place, and they can be wonderful. And the next kind of sex is meat and potatoes. If you're vegetarian and that is offensive to you, we could call that the tofu and sprouts. So this is maintenance sex. This is the basic fare. This is your old tried and true positions. Usually it's in the bed. There's a certain time of day, maybe a time of the week, and that's the good old reliable. Also wonderful. But maybe you wouldn't want to make just a steady diet of that one. Next is gourmet dining. When you go off for a romantic weekend and you've got plenty of time and you massage him and he massages you and you've got the music, maybe you bring some love poetry and you look in each other's eyes and you take plenty of time and you build up to a peak and you settle down and you build up to another peak and you really go soup to nuts. This is delightful. Usually people don't have enough of this gourmet dining. Then there's hot chili peppers. And hot chili peppers are adventuresome sex. This is a little edgy. Not everybody's into it. They think it's kinky. Some people judge it as perverse. Look, 2 consenting adults, anything goes. Doesn't hurt anybody. If you want to do a little tie them to the bedpost, a little spanking, a little bondage, maybe you dress them in costume, you role play, you dance on the edge, but if you have a strong desire to bring a little kink in and you've got safe words that if it gets too weird that you can say stop or uncle or no more or whatever you want, red light, green light, that's important to at least open to the possibility. It might be really important to your partner to have variety like that sometimes to consenting adults. Fifth type of sex is what we refer to as ambrosia, also referred to as tantric sexuality. And this brings a sense of the sacred in. This is being open-hearted. This is being all the senses very awakened and aware, using sense and textures and sounds. You might breathe together, and there's a whole body of ancient knowledge dating back thousands of years about how to bring the sacred into the sexual aspect of our lives. And it's all good. And a lot of people are not enjoying the delights of the sensual and sexual aspect of their relationship because they're preoccupied with other things. Research shows that people in the 50s were having more sex than the people in our time and enjoying it more. It wasn't such a rapid-paced society at that time, and people weren't so busy, both of them, with careers. So we have to be very intentional about making room in our life to make sure that the sexual aspect of our relationship thrives.
So what are some of the things that we can do that can maximize our potential to experience the most pleasurable, fulfilling sexual experience? I think one of the first things that we can do, and we certainly noticed this with the couples that we interviewed, is we can open up channels of communication that can enable us to speak openly and freely and honestly and respectfully and sensitively with each other about what it is that's working for us and what it is that we would prefer to have to be changed in some way in our sexual experience. Goes without saying that this is an area of our lives where we're acutely vulnerable. And so to be really sensitive to how we express our needs and desires, and to do that in a way that is responsible and doesn't make the other person wrong for the way things are, or doesn't project any kind of requirements onto them for being different, but really invites an open, reciprocal conversation that enables both of us to look at how we can enhance the experience, and to really take responsibility for participating in that conversation in a way that makes it easy for the other person to really listen and to respond in ways that we can create agreements that we can experiment with and try out. One of the great things about having these dialogues is that this is all a matter of experimentation and trial and error. There are no correct or incorrect ways of experiencing sexual connection. You know, one of the things that we were struck by when we did our research with the couples is not only that they continued to enjoy sexual pleasure well into their 70s and 80s. One couple was married for 66 years. And what they told us was that it's actually better in some ways now than it was when they were younger. And what they attributed that to was just that their hearts are more open towards each other. They feel more connected with each other. There's less concern about making sure that they do things correctly. They're more relaxed, more open, more naturally receptive. And just the idea that people who have been together that long are not only not bored with sex, not only are they still enjoying it, but that it could become even more pleasurable than it was years or decades ago was really, it was good news for us to hear that.
One of the things that I'm getting such a kick out of and find fascinating is all of this scientific research that's coming out about the health benefits of sexual interaction with a lover late into life. And we're finding that sex is really good for you. It's a cardiovascular workout. It blows oxygen to the brain. It's an amnesic, so you're not thinking about why you might be irritated at your partner while you're sexually aroused. It's an analgesic. If you've got back pain or neck pain, you're not feeling it at all or so much when you're in a state of high sexual arousal. There's these luscious hormones and chemicals that are secreted. Among them are oxytocin. That's the same chemical that bonds mothers and their nursing infants. And so when we're touched, when we're having an orgasm, you get all of this rush and shower of oxytocin in your body, which glues you to your partner. The cardiovascular workout is a really good heart strengthener, so that people who are sexually active are actually living longer. You get a big health benefit.
I know that it seems like a lot of what we've been saying here is that the answer to so many of these questions and challenges is communication. And there's communication and then there's communication, but what we want to stress here is that sometimes some of the things that we're talking about are very sensitive issues, and we really need to be mindful about how the other person may be responding. And of course, when it comes to communicating about sexual preferences and about what practices you enjoy and what doesn't work, we really want to be able to express that in ways that are least likely to cause the other person to react. And sometimes the best time to do that is not when we're in the bedroom, but could be when we're fully clothed, outside of the bedroom, not having sex or about to have sex, but in a relatively neutral environment. And to speak in terms of what it is that works for us as opposed to what it is that the other person is doing or not doing that isn't working for us. But what is it that we really would make our experience, would enhance it to a greater degree? And sometimes, the best place to do that is when we're fully clothed and outside of the bedroom.
I think it's important to be experimental, including the time of day that we make love. Sometimes we're with a morning person who's bright and bush-tailed first thing in the morning, and we may be a slow to get up person and not fully present first thing in the morning. Or maybe we're a night owl, but we're with an early bird. And so the night owls love to make love late at night, and the person who's been up since really early in the morning, they're just finished for the day. And maybe the best way to those couples to make love is in the middle of the afternoon, to let the whole world stop and to just be with each other. Now, I know people who are watching this who have kids say, yeah, right, what about the kids? And sometimes you close the door and you let the kids watch a movie, or sometimes you hire a sitter on the weekend to prioritize the sexual aspect of your relationship, or sometimes you have to go on a romantic getaway to have love in the afternoon. But if the middle of the day is your time for the best sex that you have, to honor that need of your body and to gift yourself and your partner with the most ideal time of day.